We have some great Thursday night action here on October the 24th. We've got a great NFL game on tonight, and then also there's some NBA action. I've got some winners for you guys on both of those sports. Let's get into it. This is the Free Three. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make some money. Making the money, we didn't do that yesterday. Yesterday was a heartbreaking day in the association. I mean, talk about painful. Tobias Harris, we need 16 points. The bro had 13 points in the first half. He missed 4 wide open threes in the fourth quarter. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? I don't know if he's on the ban list just yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little while before I take him again. Bradley Beal assist, just a bad pick there, as he wasn't looking to pass the ball at all. Tyus Jones, the real guy over there running the point guard show, so hate to see that. And then what about the Houston Rockets? Up by 18 points at home against the Charlotte Hornets, and they lose that game outright. Not alone cover the spread, they lose that game outright, and they blow our money line parlay. We had the Cavaliers right, and the Houston Rockets, I mean, come on, man. There's a few terrible bad beats, but if you stay till the end of the video, I gave you guys a bonus pick, and that was Scoot Henderson's points and assists, and he cashed in on that. So for today, I'm going to do the same thing. I've got a total of 4 bets, so stay till the end of the video, because I'm going to give you guys 3 picks. We got 2 player props in the NBA. We got a teaser in the NFL, and then we'll be able to give you guys a bonus pick at the end. So right now, we went 1-3 yesterday. You can see our year-to-date record right here. We're going to give you a quick recap of what we've been doing so far this year. We've given back a few units over the past few days here in the month of October. We started off really hot, but it's okay. We have about a week or so left in the month. No need to hit the panic button just yet, because we can always recover and rebound. So if you haven't smashed that subscribe button just yet, please do so, because you're helping to grow the channel. But we're also here every single day as well, so you don't want to miss out on some of these winners that we're giving you guys on the channel. So make sure you're smashing that button, smashing that bell, and as always, supporting us here at DYF Bets. I appreciate all the love and support. Now let's dive into these winners for today's Thursday card. For my first best bet of the day, let's go to the NBA real quick. We got a few NBA games on. We got the Celtics playing again. Are they going to shoot as hot as they did in their first game? Do we have Wemby playing today for the Spurs? We also have Luka and the Dallas Mavericks, and that's actually the game that I want to stick with today. And the first best bet is going to be Mr. Chris Paul himself. We're going to go over 7.5 assists, minus 135 odds on DraftKings. Now, 8.5 assists is playable in this one, and I do like Chris Paul today. I know the assists burned us yesterday, but we don't have a whole lot of data to go off of just yet, so we kind of have to go off of like history, off of schemes, off of coaching, right? Just a few different factors we got to take into play. And for me, I really like Chris Paul on this Spurs team this year, right? Do I think they're going to make a run to the playoffs? No. Do I think they're going to be in contention or anything like that? Not absolutely. But do I think that he's going to be a player that's going to be very crucial in Victor Wembanyama's development? Yes, I think so. And now that he has a true point guard to really get him the ball, somebody's not afraid to pass it, to throw the lobs like we saw last year, and then guess what? That means a whole breakout season come from Wemby in a completely different way. When you look at the depth chart for the Spurs, right, we got Chris Paul starting at point guard. We got Devin Vassell at shooting guard, but he's probably out for this game, so they're going to probably put Stephon Castle in that role. We got Harrison Barnes, who they picked up in the offseason, a sharp shooter from the corner. We've got Jeremy Sochan at the power forward, and you obviously got Wemby as center. Then you've got Keldon Johnson coming off the bench. Same thing with Zach Collins, another big man that can shoot the three pretty well. Well, are these the weapons that he had in Golden State? Not necessarily, but he's also going to be able to stay on the floor and play significant minutes and not have to worry about other people dominating the ball like Steph Curry, like Draymond Green, like Klay Thompson. And I think that's going to be able to help Chris Paul really get back to the self that we know Chris Paul to do, which is what? Double-digit assists. That's what you can expect from him. I mean, that's what he's averaged in his entire career. And 7.5 assists, I mean, that's just a very low number. And I think later on in the season, we're going to have to get 8.5, 9.5, 10.5 at times, because I feel like this is a number that he's going to fly over, especially when you've got a freak like Wembanyama, who only thing you got to do is throw it up around the rim and he's going to catch it and slam it home. You remember what Chris Paul looked like in the New Orleans days with Tyson Chandler? Obviously, we're tons of years past those days, but that's the type of thing that I can see here now that you don't have to depend so much more on your scoring. You literally can get to your spots on the floor in that mid-range. If the defense helps up, then you've got got somebody like Wemby who's willing to cut, who's willing to slash, who's willing to be able to move without the ball, not to mention Harrison Barnes in the corner. You've got, like I mentioned, Zach Collins, who can run the pick and pop really well, Jeremy Sochan, who's another guy with explosiveness off the dribble and off the bounce. So these are all things that I'm envisioning underneath that Popovich offense, what they used to do with Tony Parker and Tim Duncan, that we can see happen. Again, I'm not saying that this team's going to win a ton of games. I'm not saying they're going to blow out opponents, but I do think 7.5 assists against a Mavericks team is a little bit low. When you look at the numbers for last year against point guards, the Mavericks were about middle ground in terms of assists allowed per game for point guards. So they weren't the worst, but they definitely weren't the best. And that's what really gives me the confidence to take this low number at 7.5. But look at what Chris Paul has been able to do in recent years against the Mavericks. Last year in his last game against them in April, he had 8 assists against them. You love to see that. He had 5 assists the game before that. And that's not too bad against a Warriors team where he only played 20 minutes. So 20 minutes and 5 assists, that's literally assists for every 4 or 5 minutes. And now against this, now in this new Spurs lineup, I expect him to be playing about 30 minutes or so per game. I'm not expecting 40 minutes out of him, obviously, at this stage in his career, but I'm expecting about 30, 35 minutes per game. He should be able to do that. But let's go back to when he played for the Suns, when he had a little bit of more playing time and a little bit of better weapons that he had on the Warriors. Now, the Warriors had a lot of weapons, but he didn't have the ball control that he really wanted to. When you look at the numbers, back in 2023 against the Mavericks, 7 assists, 10 assists, 9 assists, 11 assists, 14 assists, 14 assists. That's going back from 2023 and 2022. And that is what I can see for Chris Paul this year when he's getting 30 minutes per game. He's the primary ball handler, and he has some weapons who can hit shots around the perimeter like Harrison Barnes, but also a player like Victor Wembanyama slash into the rim. So it's a really low spot for me that I think is a buy low. So, if you want to take the 8.5 at the plus money because you don't want to lay this type of juice, I get it. But I think this is a number that we're getting value on at 7.5 to start the season. And if you guys know me here on the channel, I typically like to take assists, rebound props to start the year because I think those are the numbers that are not as inflated as much as like the points and the combo squares and things of that nature. So 7.5 for assists for Chris Paul, who was a guy in the preseason who was making sure that he and Wemby can get into a good rhythm. Even if he doesn't hit it today, I'm not speaking it into an existence, but even if he doesn't hit today, this is a line that you guys should really be taking a look at every time the Spurs are playing, especially against teams like the Mavericks, who don't really necessarily play fast, but they have spurts where they do like to push the tempo and pace, but they also really don't have any dominant big men inside as well who can stop Wemby. So for me, I like this spot. Give me Chris Paul over 7.5 assists as our first best bet of the day. Now, for my second best bet of the day, we're going to go take a look at that Timberwolves matchup as they're taking on the Sacramento Kings. And we saw the Wolves lose that opening game to the Lakers on the road, and now they have to travel to Sacramento, and they face a chance to start off the season 0-2. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I do think that they need Julius Randle to step up a little bit more here. So we're going to go with him, and we're going to go over 7.5 rebounds, minus 135 odds. Again, if you don't want to lay those type of juice, take the 8.5 rebounds. In game 1 against the Lakers, he had 9 rebounds in that game on 34 minutes on 16 points. So if you want to take this combo square over points and rebounds at about 26.5, I'm not opposed to that. It's a little bit cheaper than taking just the rebounds, but I like just the rebound angle here. Why? Because they're facing a Kings team that have Domantas Sabonis. If you know anything about Sabonis, if you know anything about the Kings, they're going to crash the glass hard. They're going to play hard defense. They're going to look to grab rebounds and get out and run. And Sabonis is a guy who's averaging literally like 13 rebounds a game. So that means that their focal attention on getting to the glass and making sure that you can limit this team to one possession is a lot more important against a team like the Kings than it is against other teams. And now we saw what AD did to the Wolves on Monday or whenever they played Tuesday, right? 16 rebounds he grabbed. Rudy Gobert, he was still able to grab 12, 13 rebounds in that game, and Julius Randle was still able to get 9. So for me, this is just a number that's a little bit too low at 7.5, especially given the fact that Randle, he didn't play a whole lot in the preseason, but he still played 30 minutes the last game. That means that he's probably going to be on the floor. We have a very tight spread, about 1.5, 2.5 right now, so it should be a close game as well. But look at the numbers that Julius Randle has had against the Kings. We have to obviously go about when he was on the Knicks, but last year, 10 rebounds, 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds, 9 rebounds, 14 rebounds, 15 rebounds. That's the last 6 times that he's faced the Kings, going from last year, dating back all the way to 2021. So every time that he's played the Kings, he's gone over this number at 7.5. I think we're still getting value at this number. Why? Because of Rudy Gobert in the paint. We know what he can do in terms of snagging boards, but for me, I think that he's going to be the main focal point on Sabonis, really trying to make sure that he's not on the glass, which should open up the opportunity for Julius Randle to grab some rebounds. And then Julius Randle is also one of those guys who likes to throw it up at the rim and try to grab his own shot to go do a quick little putback, which I think gives us an extra 1 or 2 rebounds a game as well on top of that. So for me, I like this number here for Julius Randle. It's a little bit too low. He went over it in game 1. And keep in mind that Karl-Anthony Towns was able to grab a lot of rebounds on the Wolves last year. That was with Gobert on the floor. And Karl-Anthony Towns is a lot softer than Julius Randle. He doesn't like to bang like him. And he's also somebody who likes to hang around the three-point line a lot more and guard a little bit more of the stretch bigs. So for me, Julius Randle, I think he should be able to get this. I like this number here. Let's cash in for this as our second best bet of the day. Well, we've got our NBA picks down. Let's head over to the NFL slate as we've got the Rams taking on the Vikings. The Rams are at home in this matchup, coming off of a win against the Raiders, which was an ugly win, but they were able to pick it up 20-15, and now they find themselves about 2-4 on the year. Meanwhile, the Vikings lost their first game of the year last week to the Lions, and now they're 5-1 on the year, right? So the question is, who's going to pull this one out? I don't know, but a lot of the sharps are on the Rams. Why? Because they're at home. Vikings are coming off of a loss. It's a very short week. Teams are traveling, on the road, traveling into the road environment at SoFi on a very short week to prepare. That's very tough. But for me, I don't want to lay the +3 at the Rams or +2.5 because, 2-4, very shaky things are going on there in LA. A lot of injuries. We talk about Cooper Kupp possibly being traded. A lot of things are going on there, right? So for me, I'm just going to go with the teaser. +8.5, bump the Rams up over that touchdown number, and then we're going to take the number up from 48 to 54, and I like that. That's standard -120 odds. Now, like I mentioned, I do think the Rams are the team to play on here. It's the NFL. Things are wacky, but that's why I'm teasing it. But this is the thing. The Vikings blitz a ton. And because they blitz a ton, I think that's going to cause a lot of pressure for Matthew Stafford. But the thing about it is the Rams like to run the ball. We know Kyren Williams is a guy they like to hand off the ball to 17, 18, maybe 20 times per game. But the problem is Minnesota has one of the top run defenses in all the NFL. Literally right now, they're number 2 in the NFL in terms of yards allowed per game on the ground. So because of that, it's going to force Matthew Stafford and this team to have to throw the ball a lot. But the Rams have a pretty decent defense themselves. When you look at even just from a passing standpoint, right? Because we've seen Sam Darnold do pretty well this season. The Rams right now are 18th in the NFL out of 32 teams. So right there in the middle of the pack in terms of yards allowed per game. They're averaging about 210 or so yards allowed per game. But when you look at their rush defense, that's where the Rams could be exploited. They guard off at stopping the run, but we know the Vikings are not really a team that's going to look to run the ball that much. Aaron Jones, he can be hit or miss at times, but for me, I think this is going to be an ugly game. Very short week, coming off of a loss for the Vikings. It's not really a good bounce back spot for them, considering the fact that the Rams were at home last week and they're at home now. And I also saw a stat that kind of, made me light up, right? Minnesota's defense has held opponents to 17 or less points this year, except for 2 times. That was last week against Detroit, and that was Green Bay. The Rams don't have that type of offense. So that's why I lean the under here. And I think they also understand that, which is why they can't make this thing a shootout. But since 2020, and I got this stat from the Gold Sheet. Shout out to the Gold Sheet. Great newsletter to be subscribed to. Betting on road teams that are outscoring their opponents by more than 4 points per game, following a game that they allowed more than 30 points since 2020, betting the under is a 33-7 hit rate. So for me, the under 48, if you just want to take that by yourself, I'm game. But I'm just going to do the teaser, bump it up to +8.5. Like I said, I'm seeing a lot of sharps on the +3. I like to follow the sharp money. That's just something that I like to do personally. But I also think, given the fact that it is a short week and Cooper Kupp is going to be back as well, that pays dividends for the Rams. I think that's going to help them out very much in this game. So give me the teasers +8.5, under 54 as our third and final pick of the day. Tuesday card. Chris Paul over 7.5 assists, Julius Randle over 7.5 rebounds, and then we're going to take the teaser, Rams plus 8.5 and under 54. For my bonus bet of the day, we're going to go with Matthew Stafford over 33.5 pass attempts. It's minus 125 on FanDuel, and the reason why I like this is, one, I do think the Rams can keep the game close, but they'll probably be trailing the majority of the game. Like I mentioned before, Minnesota has the number 2 rush defense in the NFL, and Kyren Williams is a guy who's not even averaging 4 yards per carry right now. So because of that, it's not like he's breaking off a whole lot of explosive plays. But when you look at it, the Vikings have the 3rd worst pass defense in the NFL in terms of yards. So that's something that Matthew Stafford can be able to exploit. And when you look at it also deeper, they're the number 1 team in the NFL to get the ball thrown on. Teams are literally averaging over 42 pass attempts per game on them. And guess what? With Cooper Kupp back, that gives me the confidence to take Matthew Stafford here because his most reliable weapon is back playing with him. I looked at the numbers, right? In games that Cooper Kupp has played with Matthew Stafford, look at his attempts. Back on September the 15th, he only had 27 attempts, so he went under. Back on September the 8th, he had 49 attempts. Go back to last year in December, 34 attempts, 34 attempts, 33 attempts, 41 attempts. So when Stafford has Cooper Kupp, he will literally feed this guy the ball 13, 14 times if he needs to, but those are all attempts that we can be able to cash in. And the fact that I think the Rams will be trailing, but will have the opportunity to throw the ball because that run defense is so strong for the Vikings, I like that here. Give me Matthew Stafford over 33.5 pass attempts as our bonus bet of the day. So that's it for me today, my friends. All right, let's cash in on those 4 winners. We'll be back tomorrow for some more Friday action.